All right, so buckle up for this deep dive. We're going deep on the disappearance of Jennifer Casey.
Oh yeah, this one's really gotten to people. It's a mystery. A young woman, gone, no trace. And then there's that car.
Abandoned. Right near her apartment, but not at her apartment. And to make things a bit weirder, security footage shows someone parking it, but it's so grainy.
That's the thing with this case. Every detail just raises more questions. So many twists and turns, it almost feels like it was designed to be unsolvable.
Well, let's try to unravel it bit by bit. First, who was Jennifer Kesse? We know the basics, 24, living in Orlando, working in finance, but paint us a picture of who she really was.
Everyone who knew her said the same thing. She just radiated this joy. Infectious smile, they called it. Loved adventure, lived life to the fullest. And her family, incredibly close. By all accounts, she had everything to live for. This wasn't someone who'd just disappear.
Okay, so we have a young woman, successful, loved, and then gone. This was back in 2006. What was Orlando like back then? Set the scene for us.
Think theme parks, sunshine, that carefree vacation vibe. Jennifer was living in a gated community. You know, the kind that's supposed to be safe and secure. You wouldn't think something like this could happen there.
Yeah, it's almost like the setting makes the mystery even more unsettling. So take us back to January 2006. When did things first go wrong?
Last anyone heard from Jennifer was the night of January 23rd. She talked to her boyfriend on the phone. He was out of town. They were making plans for later that week. A perfectly normal conversation. Nothing seemed off.
And then the next morning, she's not at work.
Exactly, and that was immediately a red flag. Jennifer was known for being incredibly reliable, missing work without any word, totally out of character. Her co-workers tried calling, no answer. So they contacted her family, who knew right away something was terribly wrong.
So they rushed to her apartment, hoping for the best, but what did they find?
They get there, and her apartment's locked. Everything inside is in order. No signs of a struggle, no forced entry, nothing. It was like she just vanished into thin air. Except one thing was missing. Her car.
That's a bad sign. But they did find the car later, right?
They did, 2 days later. And this is where things get truly strange. It wasn't abandoned in some remote location. It was parked at another complex just a short distance from her own. Almost as if it was meant to be found, but not too easily.
Wait, so someone went out of their way to move her car. Why? That makes absolutely zero sense.
And it gets weirder. Her purse, her wallet, cell phone, all still inside the car. No signs of a struggle, no ransom note, nothing. It was like someone wanted it to look like nothing was wrong. But of course, that only makes the whole thing creepier.
So what did the Orlando police think at this point? Kidnapping.
Well, they had to consider everything, right? Voluntary disappearance, maybe something happened on her way to work, abduction. But as they looked into Jennifer's life, those explanations started to fall apart.
What made them rule those out?
Good job, close family, no reason to just run off. And that whole thing with the car being staged, that points to something a lot darker than a simple disappearance.
So we've got a missing person, no obvious motive, a bunch of clues that don't really add up. It's no wonder this case is still unsolved. But there's still that one piece of evidence, that security footage, the one showing someone parking Jennifer's car. Could that be the key to figuring this out?
That footage has been analyzed over and over. It's short, grainy, but it's the only direct link to Jennifer's car. And that's where things get really interesting. We need to take a closer look. So the security footage, right? It's from the complex where they found Jennifer's car. The camera caught someone parking it and walking away. But the quality, it's terrible.
I bet they've tried everything to clean it up, enhance it. What could they make out from the footage?
Well, they got the person's height, roughly, somewhere between 5'3" and 5'5", but that's about it, man or woman. Clothes, facial features, no way to tell. It's like trying to solve a puzzle with most of the pieces missing.
And they haven't been able to identify this person at all.
They've released it to the public, run facial recognition software, even brought in forensic video analysts. Nothing. It's like this person just appeared out of nowhere, parked the car, and disappeared.
It's like a ghost story almost. You'd think someone, somewhere, would recognize something, a wall, a build, anything.
You'd think, right? I mean, this is the person who had Jennifer's car. And yet it's like they don't exist.
It makes you wonder what they're hiding. All right, so let's talk about Jennifer's life. The investigation must have looked into that. Did anything suspicious come up? Any secrets?
That's the thing. It's almost too clean. Everyone they talked to said the same thing. Happy, no problems, no enemies. Loving family, boyfriend, friends, colleagues, all good.
Hold on. No angry exes, no hidden affairs, no one with a grudge.
It's possible someone was really, really good at hiding their true feelings. But the investigation didn't show anything pointing to anyone in Jennifer's life being involved. They really looked into it, believe me.
So we've got a missing person, a mystery figure on grainy security footage, no motive. No wonder people are still talking about this case.
It's like a real-life thriller, but without the ending. And of course, when there aren't answers, people come up with their own.
Oh, I bet. What are some of the theories that have been floating around?
One theory is that she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. A random crime of opportunity. Maybe someone saw her leaving work late, followed her, that sort of thing.
Orlando's a big city, lots of tourists. I guess it could happen.
It could. But then why stage the car? And why haven't they heard anything from whoever took her? No ransom, no demands, nothing. That's not usually how a random kidnapping goes.
Okay, so what else have investigators considered? Was it maybe something more deliberate?
There's a theory that she got mixed up in something dangerous without realizing it. Maybe crossed paths with the wrong people.
But what would she have gotten mixed up in? She was a financial analyst.
Right, and she handled money. Lots of it. It's not impossible that she came across something shady. Information someone wanted to keep secret.
That's pretty scary. Makes you think. And then, of course, there's the theory that always seems to pop up in these cases.
You mean the alien abduction theory?
Yeah, that one. It's popular, especially when there's just no explanation. But come on, let's be real here.
Look, we can't rule anything out completely, but we have to stick to what we know. And what we know is someone parked Jennifer's car. That person is the key to all of this.
It's amazing how one blurry piece of footage can become the most important thing in a case like this.
It shows how even the smallest detail can be crucial. And in a case like this, with so few leads, any little thing could be the breakthrough they need.
What if someone does recognize that person from the footage? What if they have information, even a tiny bit, that could change everything?
That's what keeps investigators going. And Jennifer's family, too. Someone out there knows something. And maybe, one day, that missing piece will show up.
It's a good reminder that hope never really dies, even in the toughest cases. It's really something how this case just grabs people. Alien theory is one thing, but I've seen all sorts of ideas out there. Organized crime, Jennifer faking her own disappearance. It's like everyone's trying to fill in the blanks, come up with some explanation.
I think that's what makes it so compelling. When something's unexplained, our brains they crave an answer. We look for patterns, connections, anything to help us make sense of it.
Yeah, like we need closure, even if it's not our case, especially with these big missing person cases.
And here, I think it's even more so because Jennifer, she was just an ordinary person. It could be anyone. It makes you think, could it happen to someone I know?
It is a little unsettling. Goes back to what you said before. Even in the safest places, bad things happen.
Exactly. If anything, that's what people should take away from Jennifer's story. Don't take things for granted. Appreciate what you have.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the key things you want listeners to remember?
First off, this case, it's still unsolved. All those years, all the investigating, the theories, we still don't know what happened to Jennifer.
And it all comes down to a few things, right? Her vanishing, the car being moved, that figure in the footage.
Yep, those are the big mysteries. They haven't led to an answer yet, but there's still the best chance of finding out the truth.
So you're saying even after all this time, there's still hope?
Absolutely. Cold cases get solved all the time, sometimes decades later. A phone call, a DNA match, suddenly everything changes. Jennifer's family, they hold on to that hope.
It's pretty amazing how they haven't given up.
It shows you the power of love, never giving up no matter what.
I'm with you on that. So for everyone listening, as you think about Jennifer's case, I keep coming back to this question. What if it was just a bunch of random things all happening at once, creating this perfect storm of, I don't know, bad luck? What if that's what happened?
It's a question that's haunted a lot of people. The investigators, Jennifer's family, anyone who's heard this story. Maybe someday we'll know.
Until then, the mystery remains. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the disappearance of Jennifer Kesse. Yeah.